Hello everyone, this is Dustin Nulf with Keller Williams Realty's The Dustin Nulf Team and the Full House LLC Pittsburgh Property Management. Today we're going to talk about two biggest reasons the poor stay poor and why rich people become rich. So when I got my real estate license, I had decided to work in social work at that same time because I knew I was going to need more of a flexible schedule, and I was getting out of the restaurant industry. And in the restaurant industry, especially I was a manager, so as a manager in the restaurant industry, you're really expected to work a whole lot of hours and there's not a lot of free time. So I was working sometimes 16, 18-hour days. I'd go home, I'd sleep for 3 hours, get up and repeat basically. So in order for me to be successful in real estate, I knew I was going to need better time availability basically. So I ended up getting a job doing social work, and I had a psych degree from the University of Pittsburgh, so it was kind of a shoe-in for that. And the thing about social work is that you may be scheduled for 40 hours and then half your clients cancel on you because they're court ordered and they don't want to be there anyway. So you end up working a 20-hour week, and in that case then you have time that you can sell real estate. So it worked out pretty conveniently for me in that sense. So I ended up doing it for about 3 years, and I was working in a lot of low-income neighborhoods, and part of my job was to instill better practices and habits with high school age kids and their families. So these kids were not getting to school on time, they weren't getting to school at all sometimes they were leaving school early, etc., etc. They were basically on a road to failure, and it was because they weren't attending school. And I went around from house to house in these lower income neighborhoods, and I was trying to teach better time values and how for people to use their time more effectively and make sure that they were on time for appointments and such, like being at school. So that was one of the things that I learned was kind of a trait that was being passed down from generation to generation, that there was no value for being on time or being early or being where you were supposed to be at that certain time. The other thing I noticed is around the first of the month, the main streets in the low-income neighborhoods would be bumping. I mean, it would be 8 a.m. and there would be people everywhere on the main street around the first of the month. And I coming from a middle-class family and neighborhood, I didn't know what was going on, so I ended up researching it a little bit more, and come to find out that the welfare checks, Social Security and Social Security disability checks all come out around the first of the month. So what these people were doing was they had just got paid, and they were spending every dime that they got paid within the first week of them making that money. And I came to realize that my clients' parents essentially were in that same cycle. They were getting their Social Security check, and they were spending it all within the first week. And you could see, their emotions. They were extremely happy at the beginning of the month, and then they were miserable for the rest of the month. And it was because they spent all their money and they were pretty much scraping to get by after that first week. So here's, the two, in my opinion, the two biggest reasons the poor stay poor and the rich get rich is because the poor have very bad time management skills and very bad money management skills, and they pass that on to future generations, and they create generational poverty essentially. The people who break out of that pattern are the ones that become wealthy, and one of the great things about America is that you can break out of generational poverty and you can go from poor to rich in the same generation. So the ones that break out of that and create good time management and good money management skills, they become rich or wealthy. And the rich and the wealthy tend to pass these skills on to future generations, and they create generational wealth. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So if you want to be rich, if you're not already rich and you want to be rich, you need to focus on these two skills: time and money management. So let's talk about the ways to improve our time management skills. There's some simple things you can do. So tip number 1, be on time. When I was in the restaurant management industry, we hired, well, if you ever worked in a restaurant, you know it's a revolving door essentially. You hire 10 people and 5 of them might work out, and they're not going to last the whole year. Usually you're going to end up with maybe 1 or 2 actually last the whole year. So you're constantly hiring and firing people. And one of the things I noticed in the restaurant industry is that, you know, we would hire a couple people. We were getting people, you'd get, you know, some would show up on time, some would show up early, and you'd get those ones that you just hired and they show up 30 minutes late for their first day at work. The more I worked in the restaurant industry, the more jaded I became to that sort of state. So when we hired somebody, if they showed up late on their first day, they were fired immediately. No excuses. We didn't deal with it. If they were late on the first day, they were pretty much going to be late every other day that they worked. So that right there, if you want to stay poor, show up late for your first day of work. You're going to get fired. Any good employer is going to fire you if you're late on your first day. I learned this from a real estate client of mine. He said to me that he learned this in the military, and the statement he said that stuck with me was, if you're 5 minutes early, you're 10 minutes late. So what's that mean? That means be 15 minutes early for everything, basically. If you're 15 minutes early, then you're on time. And that's a good rule to follow. And it stuck with me, and I kind of repeat it in my head. And I always try to be at least 15 minutes early for everything. A lot of times I'll get to appointments, I'll be there early, I'll sit in my car for 10 minutes. And, you know, then I'm walking up to the door 5 minutes early, and I apologize for being early because I want to make sure the client understands that I was there when I said I was going to be there. And my grandfather always said the early bird gets the worm. And, you know, what's that mean? If you show up early and you're earlier than everybody else, you're more than likely going to have the first opportunity, and others are going to miss out on that opportunity because they didn't even show up. All right, tip number 2, use a day planner or calendar. This is one that I had to learn. My head is very scatterbrained at times, and as a new salesperson 11 years ago, I thought I was pretty smart and I could remember everything and remember to be where I needed to be. And there came a time where I had screwed up a couple of different appointments, and you know, I'm sitting waiting to show one property. I get a call on my cell phone, I answer it, and another one of my clients is asking me where I'm at. And I said, well, I'm here showing a property. Where are you at? He said, well, I'm at the other property that you said you were going to show me at this time. And I realized that I had double booked, and I didn't even realize it because I wasn't using a day calendar, and I thought I was just going to remember my schedule. And you know, to some that may seem stupid. To me, that was just the mindset that I was in back then. Fortunately, I learned that in order for me to be more successful than I was, I needed to step it up a notch, and I needed to start using a calendar. So I'm really digging Google. Google gives us a bunch of free stuff that we can access. So if you have a Google account, you have a Gmail account, you also get a calendar. I'm going to show you what my calendar looks like right here. So That's what a calendar looks like. If you're using a calendar effectively, it should be time blocked like that. We're going to talk about time blocks here in a second. But if you use a daily calendar, you're going to be able to make sure that you don't forget important appointments and that you're keeping your day organized. You also want to make sure that you're only putting productive things in your calendar if you're trying to be productive. The great thing about the information age is that we all got this thing right here. It's called a smartphone. It's called smart because it's supposed to make you smarter, not dumber. So sync your calendar with your smartphone, and what you do is you're out at an appointment with a client. You're just going to put the next appointment in your smartphone right here. It syncs up with everything else so you don't forget about where you need to be and when you need to be there. Time blocking. So I had briefly mentioned time blocking. What time blocking is it's a way for you to be we'll say hyper productive. And what time blocking is you want to live by this rule that if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. So if you put it in your calendar, that means that you have to do it. If you don't put it in your calendar, that means you're not going to do it. So we're going to take a look at my calendar again here real quick. And we'll see, right here I have a call with a seller trying to purchase some property here. And that means at 9 a.m. I got to be on the call, and I've got a whole hour time block. So if the call takes an hour, it's going to take an hour. It cannot take over an hour because I have another call. So by the end of this time block, it needs to be done. This appointment needs to be done with. And I need to stick to that, because if I don't stick to that, then I screw up this appointment, which is going to screw up this appointment, which is going to screw up this appointment, and then all the other subsequent appointments. So you need to stick to your calendar in order to stay on track and stay productive. Super successful people time block in as small increments as 5 to 10 minutes. I've heard that Elon Musk schedules time blocks that are 5 minutes at times. Last week I had 10-minute time blocks for a bunch of tasks, and this is like simple tasks. If I'm going to come in and check my email, I might give myself 30 minutes to go through and check my email in the morning, and that's it. I don't want to go over that. If I go over that, it's going to screw up the rest of the day. So use time blocking. Time blocking will make you more productive, and it will make you focus on the things that you need to focus on. And then tip number 4 for managing your time is work smarter, not harder. And when we talk about managing money, we're going to talk about this too. Working smarter, not harder. Now, this is a thing when I was in the restaurant industry. My mentor at the time, Suresh Ganesh, I'll give him a shout out. He said to me, you need to work smarter, not harder. And I came from a middle-class family. I wasn't taught a whole lot about what that meant, and that was the first time I really was told that by somebody. And I had no idea what he was talking about. It just right over my head. And I kept it in my brain, and I kept thinking about it. Work smarter, not harder. What's that mean? Work smarter, not harder. And I'll tell you, I don't think I got it until after I left the restaurant industry and I got into real estate sales and started my own sales business. That's when I started to get it. And basically what he was telling me and what work smarter, not harder means is you need to get paid more for your time. You need to work more efficiently and productively so you get paid more for your time. So an example of how you're going to work smarter is you're going to find yourself a job or a business where you get paid on what you accomplish, what you produce, and not how many hours you put in. So, for instance, you can go to a restaurant, work in a restaurant, and you get paid hourly to be a cook. And whether it's slow or busy, if you're on the clock, you get paid the same amount. As opposed to that, something like real estate sales, the only way you get paid is if you close deals. So you're only getting paid by being productive. And the advantage of that is that when you get efficient at being productive, you can get paid more per hour. So when I started out as a real estate salesperson, I calculated I was making probably less than $1 an hour for the first year and a half, maybe 2 years. Less than $1 an hour. And that's what we call working to learn instead of working to earn. So I was working to learn first. The following year, so if you fast forward to now, between my real estate sales business and the other businesses that I own, I'm making over $250 an hour. So that's the difference. So I was able to invest my time at the beginning and work for peanuts. So 11 years later, I can be working for a pretty nice hourly wage, right? We can call it a wage. It's not a wage. It's more residual and passive income than anything else. So if you want my advice, find a job. We're going to quote that. Find a job where you get paid for what you do and not how many hours it takes for you to do it. And then learn how to do it well. And then what you can do is when you start doing it well, you can start hiring people to do some of those tasks for you, and you pay them less than what you're getting paid, which is how pretty much all businesses make their money. And that's called time leverage and people leverage. And you're going to leverage people and time in order so you can get paid more dollars per hour. So if you manage your time better, if you're able to get more done in an hour, you're going to get paid more in an hour, is what that means. All right, so that's our tips for time management. We're going to look at tips for money management now. So tip number one for money management. If you want to manage your money like a millionaire, you need to be able to budget and track. If you're an entrepreneurial mindset or an entrepreneurial spirit like me, you hate this. You don't like this at all because it's not fun. Okay? Sitting down and doing research and crunching numbers and creating spreadsheets and stuff like that, to me that's extremely boring. However, it's essential to making sure that you're going to be successful and that you stay successful. So when you look at budgeting and tracking, the rich will run their household like they run a business. They're going to look at the income coming in, and they're going to look at the expenses going out, and they're going to make sure that they have money left over at the end of every week or every month. The money that they have left over, they're going to save it, and then they're later going to invest it. And that's going to help keep them, not only are they going to run a successful household, but they're going to run successful businesses, and they're going to have successful investments. And the first thing you can do, if you're not used to this stuff, is to sit down and create a home budget or a household budget and start there. Once you've got your household budget mastered, then you're going to look at your business budget and your business planning. And when we look at it, we look at your business, and we look at what it's making and what it's losing, or what it's losing, we're going to be looking at what we call profit and loss statement. Essentially, a budget and a profit and loss statement are going to look kind of the same. A budget is kind of what you've done and in the past, and you're going to plan out for the future. So a budget is kind of like the plan. A profit and loss statement is what you've actually done, this month, this week, or this year. So budgeting and planning. Okay, number two for money management is going to be working smarter, not harder. So same thing. Working smarter, not harder is where time and money kind of meet through this wormhole in space and create a huge impact in someone's life. So there's lots of ways of working smarter. The average poor and middle class person, though, believe that if you want to make more money, that you need to work more hours, or you need to get a second job, or you need to get a promotion. That is a really dumb way of looking at it. And the reason why I say that is because you're given the power to make more money to somebody else. Well, if I'm going to make more money, I got to go ask this guy to employ me or ask this woman to employ me and give me another job, and then I got to work 18 hours a day instead of 8 or 10, so I can make more money. Or I got to ask to work overtime. So you got to work more hours. So the poor and the middle class equate more hours to more money, and that's not necessarily the case. Rich people know that working smarter means getting paid more for your time and doing more with it. So an example of working smarter again would be, let's say you take a job. I've seen these signs posted along the streets, and it says make money from home. You can make up to $40,000 a year from home sending out mailers or whatever. And let's say they pay you 50 cents per mailer. This is a very, very simple example. They pay you 50 cents per mailer that goes out, plus they reimburse for your cost. So essentially you're getting paid 50 cents per mailer. Well, in order for you to work smarter, you could hire somebody to come in and do the mailers for you and pay them 25 cents per mailer. And then you're making 25 cents per mailer and you're not doing the work, somebody else is. So it might take you an hour a day to supervise that person who's working 8 hours a day. But you're getting paid like you work 4 hours. So you're actually working for an hour and you're getting paid like you work 4 hours. That's working smarter, not harder. The rich know this. They do it with every business. If you think of any successful business, what's being done is that somebody's getting paid less than what the owner's getting paid for that product. Right? That's how you make money. So work smarter, not harder. Number 3, in money management, learn how to keep your money. We talked about the poor and the low-income neighborhoods. The first thing they do is spend all their money. I've seen drunk people stumbling down the street at 9 a.m. on the 1st of the month, 2nd of the month actually. They had spent most of their money on booze the night before. It's not a way to live life. How do you keep your money? So the middle class will tell their kids that they need to save, save, save. You need to save, save, save for a rainy day. You never know if emergency is going to hit. You have to have money saved so you can spend it all when that emergency happens. Or you need to save for retirement, so you need to work, until you're 65 or 70, and then you can enjoy life, right? I just saw a meme on social media, or a picture on social media, and it was an older couple passed out on a boat. They were getting a tour, and they were retired, and they didn't even get to enjoy the tour because they were too tired. They passed out. They fell asleep. Retirement age is not necessarily when you should be enjoying your life. You can, if you work smart, you work hard, and you invest your money, you can enjoy your life while you're young. You can enjoy your life while you're old. You can enjoy your life whenever the hell you want because you're smart and you invested your money. So don't just save your money, you're going to save it to invest it. Grant Cardone says this. I've heard numerous other wealthy people say it. The only time you should save money is to invest it. So you're going to save it and then you're going to invest it. So how to keep your money? If you save it in a bank, you're going to get paid maybe 0.25% interest. And inflation, the inflation rate, something like 2.2 to 2.4%. So if you save your money in a bank, 10 years from now, it's going to be worth less than it would be otherwise. Okay? So if you were to invest it, you want to invest it someplace that's earning more than 2.2%, so you're beating inflation. So, real estate is one thing. You could invest it in the stock market or whatever. If you're getting the average gain of 8% annually on the stock market, you're doing decent. So you're going to save your money so you can invest it. Use a bank to save the money, but once you have it saved, invest it. Tip number 4 for managing your money is multiply it. This is the big thing. So the rich not only know how to save their money, but they know how to multiply it. So if you're doing a proper budget, you're going to have money left over at the end of the month. You're going to have money left over at the end of the year. You're going to put that into a savings account. And at the end of the year, you might have a big chunk of money. You might have a little chunk of money. It might only be, 4 or 5 grand. Let's say you got $5,000. But if you take that $5,000 and you multiply it, and you're able to earn 20 to 30% annually on it, and you can do this in real estate. You can earn more than that in real estate. If you invest it and multiply it, what's 20% of that? So $5,000, if you're earning 20% annually, you're going to earn $1,000 on it the first year. And then the cool thing about compounding interest is that if you reinvest that $1,000, then the second year you're going to earn $1,200, and it's just going to keep going up like that. So if you want to see how compounding interest works, just Google it, compound interest calculator. You're going to find a bunch of them. Put $5,000 in there and see what it does over 20 years at 20% interest. It's going to increase in value. And then what if you save $5,000 a year every year and do that? It's going to compound even more, and it's going to build even more. So you want to learn how to multiply your money, and you can't multiply it if you don't have any. Right? You can't multiply it if you don't have any. So that's all I got for you today. I hope you found this video helpful. If you enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you want to learn more wealth building techniques, such as how to create a home budget and a profit and loss statement, please visit and subscribe to the content on my Patreon site. There'll be a link for that below this YouTube video. Thank you very much for watching this. I appreciate it. Have a great day.